You listened to the debates?
No, I was away. I said, I don't even want to know what happened. So I just came and said, okay, you have to go there. So I went there, CBC, but they built it up so much that somehow you get drawn in and you realize how manipulated you become because they raise expectations. And then what happens at the end, one person gets it and others don't, and even though they tell you are all winners and I don't know. I mean, when you win it, it's like winning a lottery. You just take the money and the publisher is happy and they publish your next book, and that's the advantage. But it's not, these processes are not very fair because there are so many other books that are then ignored, right, by the readers. But that's what it's like, You need a thick skin, but most artists don't have thick skins,
Things that comes across in this is a sense of immortality, and the society says they've gained immortality, but I wonder if they really have, because they almost don't seem to be the same people. They have new memories, sometimes they have new parts of their bodies. There's something different, and is that immortality, or is it just another way of...
I think it's how they define it, although I said almost, I think, in the book. They've lived up to 3 generations at most, so it's, and the joints, not quite fitting. but I think if you define it as immortality, then that's what you mean. I mean, you define it. I think you're asking whether they're immortal as they were, but they, of course, it's like an incarnation, and that's what Frank says when he reads this thing from the Gita, where they talk about incarnation and that you have a new body and so on. And he says, but that's exactly what I do.
You have many books to write still that are in there.
I don't know.
I hope you do. Would you consider going back into this world and writing a sequel?
No. No, I don't think the sequel.
It's done.
It's done, yeah. I'm just finishing another novel, which is completely different.
Okay.
But after some time, every book is a risk, bigger and bigger risk.
Like people got the message you were trying to relay?
To be honest, I don't look at reviews, but I think I was very impressed by today's presentations, to be honest, including the lecture on history, which I found really marvelous. Somehow gave me an idea that maybe young people get it, I've been complaining, I said, young people don't read my books. They all say it's good for my father, It's very hard for today's kids, I think, to enter a character intimately with the pain and anguish and joy that real life is. And I think it's partly maybe it's because we live in a very materialistic, spoiled society, and we take care of our kids so much, and I'm guilty of that, I can tell you that. They're completely sheltered. When they're 30, you call them up to see if they're all right. When they should be calling you. So I think it's just, they're just very nurtured and, I wouldn't say spoiled in the sense, but very comfortable, especially in this country, more so than in Britain, I was just telling you. And in some ways, you find that the production of art suffers, Although then you say you should be suffered to produce art, better not to produce art, but everything a good life. Why not? But if you see the art that comes out from Britain, sometimes it's just drama, plays, very, adaptations, and the music, it's just fantastic. I wouldn't want to live there, to be honest. But we are so comfortable. And for anything we expect the government to help us, The writer starts writing and there's a government grant, and the government is happy to give you something. So somehow it's a spoiled society. But I think one thing I notice is that people who come from elsewhere, they had some profound experiences, right? And they're great books, but I don't think the younger generation will read them. You see, that's the whole problem. But that's what I was talking to him about in Vancouver. He comes from East Africa, his parents, same background and so on. And he was in charge of the cultural committee there. So he said, Mr. Vassanji, what is your message? I'm a novelist, I'm not a messenger. So, if you have that mismatch, then, there's a real problem.
Last question, I suppose maybe it's an appropriate question. We've been talking a lot about the youth in this event, and my question to you would be, do you have any advice for the younger generation of artists who are trying to come out with works or trying to materialize anything artistic of their own and kind of hitting these barriers that we've been discussing about how? Do you have any advice for them?
But I'm a pessimist, but there's a thing.
Go suffer.
The poet Rilke, a young poet sent him his manuscript, which sometimes happens, less now, but and asked him to comment on the poetry. And after a while, Rilke answered. He said, "Ask yourself, can I live without writing?" And if the answer is no, then write. Then you don't need me, you will write. So once the compulsion is there, you have to do it. But I think a good practical advice is, you have to have a means of living. Unless you are a real sufferer. Well, we don't come from those times where the artists suffered, like Gauguin and so on, right? Even he had a brother who helped him. So, it's good to have a job. And in the US, they are used to it, all the actors and so on. They work as waiters and so on. But I think in this country, people somehow don't want to work. They say, the government should give me something. There's no harm. But, you do any piece of work at any art, but it has to, again, come with, it's because you have to do it. It's not a career, it's an obsession.